Thank you for attending today, our presentation on Qualtrics. We are from the Office of International Services. My name is Ann Kaufman. I am the business manager and also an international student advisor. And this is Ben Logan. He is in the CASA program in the School of Education, and he is an intern, a graduate intern in our office this year. For those of you who aren't familiar, the Office of International Services provides support to USC's international students, scholars, and their dependents, including immigration advising and guidance, academic and personal counseling, as well as programming and events, cultural adjustment resources, and more. But those are the basics of what we provide, the services we provide to our students. Today, we would like to give you an introduction to Qualtrics. First, we hope that you will learn today how OIS, how our office has gone about measuring customer service satisfaction, the customers being our service population, international students. We'd like to share with you some useful tips and ideas for when using Qualtrics to create your own surveys. And finally, we'd like to also give you some tips on how to distribute the surveys using Qualtrics and using Qualtrics to analyze the results. So first, why is OIS conducting this survey? Why bother? Well, OIS is committed to the university-wide goal set forth by President Nikias and Provost Garrett to provide exceptional services to students that make a lasting impression of the university. We in OIS rely solely on a positive experience with the student, and while the staff in our office believe we are doing the best that we can and we're delivering a high level of service to our population, we wanted to know what students perceive, how they perceive the services that we're offering. By eliciting this feedback from students, we hope that it will give our staff perspective on how we're perceived by students. By asking our service population to assess our performance, we will then use that information give it to supervisors in our office to help OIS staff provide the highest quality of service. So to let staff know what they're doing well, to praise them for things that students appreciate, and give them advice and tips on how we can continue to improve to serve our population. The data that we're collecting we will use to establish accountability for staff members and also to provide us with vital information on ways that we can continue to improve existing services and possibly create new services for our students. We haven't done any formal surveying of our students since 2012. So in the fall of 2010, Ben and I took the first steps of creating our satisfaction survey using Qualtrics. At first we had grand ideas of starting very large. We wanted to know everything we could about our students, their perceptions of our programming, the service we provide, immigration-related concerns, but we soon realized that we were biting off more than we were ready to respond to. So we convened a few international students we developed some questions, and we convened a group of international students as a focus group to get their opinion on how they view the survey. And the tips that we were given by the international group students were to keep the survey short as possible. They get bombarded with hundreds of surveys every week, or every semester, and to keep the survey short, to keep it simple and concise, and also to use short and simple language for non-native speakers. Also, they recommended that we keep the focus narrow, so we focused on customer service. Yes. On our survey, we asked questions, demographic questions about how often and in what way students get information from our office, so whether they visit us online or if they walk into our office for an appointment. And then we also ask specific questions about each individual staff member that has contact with students in our office. So how many people here have used Qualtrics before? Okay, a couple. Great. So Qualtrics, it's an online survey program made available to USC. We work in the Division of Student Affairs, so Student Affairs has its own account with Qualtrics. I know Marshall does, and several other schools and divisions on campus have an account. It's very similar to SurveyMonkey, if anyone has worked with SurveyMonkey or any of those types of surveying tools. Ben is going to walk through, so from the very start, how to create an account. Ben, would you like to?
Yeah. So if you want to create your Qualtrics account, you can either go to this web address, or if you search on Google just USC Qualtrics, it'll come right on up. Make sure it's USC Qualtrics. It's used at lots of other universities, and if you go on the wrong one, it's going to give you trouble. So let's just log in real quick. So this is what the Qualtrics webpage looks like. If you've already signed up for an account, you can just log in up top. If you still need to sign up, even here, click here to register and start taking advantage of Qualtrics. You just use your USC email address, type it in, create a password. Like most websites, it'll just shoot you a quick email to your website, to your email account. Steps are very simple, follow them, and you'll be able to start making surveys instantly. You'll have to wait a little bit for an administrator in IT to validate your account before you can actually start sending surveys out. It's real quick. If you're in Student Affairs, it's Robert Morse. If you really need to get it sent out, just give him a call and get you set up. So if you already have an account, or once you create it, you just log in up top. So let me log in under Ann real quick. As you can see, it keeps track of all the surveys you've ever created. Right here, as well as information on being able to edit it, view the results, send it on out. So if you want to create a brand new survey, just go up to the left-hand corner, click Create Survey. You have the option of creating a copy from a previous survey you've already created, or you can start from scratch. So let me show you how to start one from scratch. So you just come up with a survey name, and then decide what folder you want it to appear in. It should automatically populate this for you. So we're Office of International Services, so we're going to choose that. It makes it so other departments in Student Affairs can't have access to your survey results, so it's just internally. And then also you want to make sure it's in your account, so it's under Ann Kaufman's name, so that's where we want it to go. So great, and up it pops. So to create a new, first, to create kind of the look and feel of the survey, you go up to here, this nice little rainbow pinwheel. It lets you customize font, colors, headers, footers, things of that nature. Student Affairs is nice enough that they have two pre-made schemes set up, a nice red and cardinal one, as well as a black and cardinal one. Like the red and cardinal one, easier, looks pretty, so that's what we're going to use. But if you want to, you can just go and change font, colors, as well as change header or footer. Qualtrics, like SurveyMonkey, has a bunch of pre-made questions that you can use. To start adding questions, just go to Create a New Item. Now the right-hand side of the page will be this nice control bar that always comes up. It lets you create questions, create some kind of forced responses, things of that nature. So if you want to create a question, just go up to this nice green box here, click on it, and it gives you a nice visual representation of all the different types of questions that Qualtrics has. So, multiple choice if you want to do a nice Likert scale, text entry for essays, and a couple more like specialty ones that you'll probably never have to use, like top points of what you find most appealing about this image, but it's nice to know it's there. So for our survey, we've mostly used text entry and multiple choice. So I'm going to quickly show you some of the things you can do with those. So with text entry, you just click on it. Real quick and easy to edit text. So if you just want to ask your students how do they like USC, not the best question, but pretty straightforward. There's some options that you can do for validated response, as well as a number of comments that the student can enter into this. If you go to the right-hand side of the page, you can choose minimum length. So if you want to make sure it's over a certain number of words, you can enter that in. You can also do maximum length. So if you don't want your students or participants to send you a huge treatise on everything, you can limit it down to 50 characters. Definitely recommend that one. Other nice feature is custom validation. So let's say you want to try to grab, excuse me, put down that one. Content validation, excuse me. So let's say you want to get students' email addresses or phone numbers and you want to make sure they're entered incorrectly. You can select email address and it's going to have to be set up perfectly, so I'd have to write in loginb@usc.edu. I couldn't leave any of that off and be able to continue with the survey. The other option you have is to force response. This just requires that anyone who's taking it has to provide an answer to that. If they don't, they'll get an error message. Let me show you quickly what that looks like. So anytime also you want to look at what the survey looks like, just go up top and preview survey, real nice.
Increase the font size at all?
Yeah, if you, on this or?
No, just this like I. If not, that's all right. Thank you.
Perfect. So if you didn't fill in a response, you get an error message. You can customize this to say what you want, but that's the standard one.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. What's that functionality called?
This is forced response.
Forced response.
Mm-hmm. So let's start over. And if you do actually write something in, it'll come up. It's the end of our survey. It's just one question, so it's an end of the survey response. This again is something you can customize. So if you want it to say, thank you for taking our survey, we'll follow up with you, blah, blah, blah dates. You can also have it set up so it'll redirect you to a website. So say you want your student or participant to go right to your department's website, you can do that as well. Let's look at the other types of questions. The other main question that we used was multiple choice. Great for Likert scales, things like that, just yes or no answers. What we used this especially for was to gain feedback on counselors at OIS. What we did was we created a survey that had the counselor's name and a picture of each of them, and then asked follow-up questions about them. We did this because we figured some of our participants may not remember the name of the person they met with, but if they can see a picture of them, it'll be a lot more helpful. So I'm going to quickly show you how to do that. So you just type in the person's name, and if you want to add a graphic, you click on this blue box here, and then go into Insert Graphic. And then our library of images comes up. Obviously, you guys won't have a preset library. If you need to add photos, just go up to here, upload a new graphic, simple browse, just like doing anything else with adding an attachment to an email. Your picture that you want to use, and it goes. And before I forget, if you do choose to upload graphics, make sure they are very small in file size. If you do large ones, it's going to take forever to load. It's going to be a huge hassle, so just make sure they're tiny. Let's just do one more first, just so you can see it. Again, go to the blue box, insert graphic, insert tell me. And then you can change the number of questions you have as well, so we only have 2 right now, so we'll just get down to that. All right. And for our questions, we set it up so when you click on a counselor's picture or name, you only get questions pertaining to that counselor. So if I met with Anne, and I didn't meet with Tony, I'd click on Anne and I'd only get questions about her. Or if I met with Tony, I'd just click on him and only get questions about him. So to do that, what you do is you go into Add Display Logic. So you click on the question you want to appear conditionally. Click Add Display Logic. And then a series of drop-downs come in. So you choose these from the drop-down. So if question, which counselor you met with is selected for Anne. So if it is selected, then the follow-up question will appear. So I'm going to go to our actual survey to let you see how this would actually look. Oops. So again, you just hit Preview Survey. See, yep, that's what happens. There we go. So we had photos of all of our counselors. So if someone met with Trevin, Esther, and Anne, they click on those, click Next, and up would pop questions just about those counselors that they would be asked. We did this because, like Anne said, we wanted to keep our survey as brief as possible, not intimidate students, make sure they actually complete it, and we get the information from them. Oh yeah, we also did, because some students may have never met with a counselor or may not remember the name of their counselor. We left the option of I don't remember the OS staff member I met with, as well as the option of I never met with a staff member. And with I don't remember the name of the staff member, instead of bringing up a picture at the end, it just brought up a generic one. This way we can still capture data about people even though it wasn't specifically about a certain counselor. So once you get your survey all created and you're about ready to send it out, there's one other thing that you want to go through. It's survey options. This deals with kind of the protection, who has access to the survey, how the whole survey operates. So you have the option of having a back button while you're taking the survey. You also have the option of letting people save and continue the survey. This is done through remembering the IP address of the person you made. It's not recommended if you think your students are going to use shared computers like at a library. There's also meta description. This is what search engines like Google or Yahoo use to try to index your survey. I'd recommend not doing it if you don't want other people finding your survey and inadvertently taking it. You also have some options of having it be open access, so anyone who has the link to your survey can take it. You can password protect it, and you can also prevent ballot box stuffing. So again, it'll only let one survey per person take it, or per computer take it.
Quick question, on the meta description, what should we put if we don't want people?
So if you don't want people to be able to take it, absolutely nothing.
Oh, leave it empty.
But if you wanted someone to be able to search it, it'd just be your buzzwords.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So can you have shared permission so you all in your department can access your department? Or was it just your email is the one that accesses?
Yep, you can actually share access to surveys. I'll go over that a little bit later, as well as how you can copy them within your department.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep, and then there's also the option of having the survey by invitation only. To do this, you need to send out your survey through Qualtrics and have it sent to your student's email address, so it'll remember that person when they come fill it out. The only other option is that's kind of use is partial completion. So say a student begins to take the survey, doesn't finish it, goes away, and comes back and wants to complete it. You can select how long you want the survey to remain available for them. So you can allow it to not be recorded at all, so student has to finish it right there and then. Or you can give them, 4 hours, 24 hours, etc., the amount of time to actually come back and finish it. Again, students are using shared computers. This could pose problems because, someone comes in and finishes someone else's survey for them. Any other questions on any of this? All right, Anne's gonna.
Do they have a tutorial on the website as
Yes,
well?
it's great.
Okay.
It's Qualtrics University. It's got videos as well.
Okay.
Super wonderful. And if you're really pushing for luck, just get a graduate intern.
I need one of those sort of-
So when we distributed our survey, as Ben mentioned, there's two options of sending this survey out to students by invitation or having it open access. By invitation, you would go to distribute survey and email survey, and here you would enter, you can create the text for how you want the email to look, format it. It already has the links for the survey attached to the email, and you would insert where it says to, you can import email addresses from it.
Yeah. And also, if you have huge mailing lists, you can upload Excel sheets directly to your library.
And send the email, send an invitation to the student this way. When the student responds, then you will have data by email address who that student or who that person is who responded to your survey. In that case, then, we decided, OIS decided that we would keep our surveys anonymous. So to keep our surveys anonymous and to allow for students to give the most candid responses to our questions, we used the anonymous survey link. And what we did was had our IT department create a unique, simple URL on our website, which links this email address created by Qualtrics. So when we contacted students, they're redirected to our website so that they have a sense that the survey is in fact anonymous. The way that we distributed the survey to our students is we have a program called FSA Atlas. This is how we keep appointments and keep records, immigration records about students. We downloaded an Excel document of all of the students that had appointments in our office in the last academic year, so August until middle of May this year. We deleted duplicates. We see many students over and over again, but so we just had one email address for each student. It came to about 3,500 students, and those students were sent an email asking them to take the survey, and there was a link to the survey, which then redirected them to our website. We made a decision that we wanted, like I said, the survey to be as anonymous as possible. We also have a link on the first page of our website to take the survey. So anybody who goes to our website can take the survey. We have a magazine that we publish twice a semester, so we've advertised in that magazine. Please take the survey, tell us how we're doing. We also have a weekly listserv that we include this information about the survey on, with hopes that students will take the survey. And finally, we have a Facebook page, and we also advertise our survey on our Facebook page. Chris?
Just out of curiosity, you said you targeted 3,500 students. What was your response rate like?
Well, we sent it out on May 18th, and so far we've gotten over 600 responses, which is pretty good. Now we've targeted 3,500, and then we also have it available for anybody who wants to visit our website. So.
And the program will know that a student has already responded based on the email, or can it be double?
Not because we made it anonymous, so they're linking to the anonymous link. We have no idea if they've responded.
But if you don't want to have it so you have to send it out to each individual email, you can kind of tell people are trying to stuff the ballot box. We did an application for some graduation awards, and it was really obvious when very similar worded responses kept coming in, 2 minutes right after each other almost perfectly. So you can still figure out if someone's trying to kind of manipulate the system.
And in the email that we sent out to students, we advertised that we would do a drawing for 3 $25 American Express gift cards. We didn't specify when, but we'll do it a couple months after the survey is launched at the end of each semester. Our goal is to distribute the same survey every semester, so that we'll be able to look at trends and compare data and see how our services have improved in the future. Yes?
What do you think the response rate would be without the incentive?
I don't know that it makes any difference. Paula, what do you think?
I would say that it probably doesn't make any difference at that level. I mean, if they were giving away $1,000, there might be something.
It's just a little
25 bucks is just fun.
Just something fun. The way that we collect the information to identify the student, though, who is going to receive the gift card, is at the end of the survey we ask students. There's a disclaimer saying that this survey is entirely anonymous, but if you would like to provide your email address, you will be included in a drawing for a gift card. Now, when that email address, if the student provides it, it is in fact linked to their responses, but it's our responsibility as the owner of the survey to not consider that data when we analyze the data. We can export it into, Ben will show us in a minute, but you can export it into an Excel document and just delete that column so that the email addresses are entirely separate from the students' responses. But there's no real way to offer an incentive and keep the survey entirely anonymous. The other concern with the anonymity of the response is we're collecting sensitive information about USC employees, and so what we have done is Ben and I created the survey, and this is where we'll answer the question about collaborating and sharing and copying surveys. We did the legwork to create the survey, and when it was finally complete and ready to be distributed, we then we copied it to the account of the director of our office, and he then is the only person who has access to these responses. Ben, can you show?
So yeah, for this there's a couple different options you have. You can choose to collaborate with someone, so another person in your department can look at the same survey. To do this, you just go over to the Collaborate button, click on that, and just select the user you want to share it with. So it recognizes me because I'm set up in Qualtrics. Just hit Add and then Save, and then both of us would be able to have access to the same survey, make edits to it, see results without having to share our passwords or logins. Now if you want to do what we did, where we completely transfer an entire survey to another account, what you do is copy. You click on Copy, and you choose to another user. And again, you just type in the user's email address that's registered with Qualtrics. Wait for it to be recognized, and then hit Copy. And the only thing to remember is if you do it this way, you'll have two different surveys that aren't linked together. So we'll still have the exact same survey that we created on this account, but a whole new survey identical to it will be added to my account. But they won't be linked when people take responses.
Ben, question?
Oh yeah, sorry.
When you're collaborating with somebody, can both parties access and edit simultaneously?
Yeah, I don't know if you can edit simultaneously. I know you can both edit. Do you have a chance to answer that one or no?
You don't.
Yeah, I'd assume not, because most programs don't allow it. Any other questions?
One more question about the security of the information that's returned. Where is it actually stored? Where is it encrypted?
I have no clue about that actually. That is a very good question.
Can you repeat the question?
He was asking whether or not these survey results were encrypted and where they were stored. I'm not sure if they're stored on a USC server or if they're elsewhere.
Do you happen to know, Jen?
That's a good question.
Yes, we actually use Qualtrics in the Office of Residential Education. Sorry, I was late, but from what I understand and the way that we've utilized it in our office has been for residential education surveys, and the information is sort of factored online. So everything that you would want to view, the analysis of the data, it's all stored, like I guess through Qualtrics on some like online database. You can download it, but to my knowledge, there isn't any, like if you say you wanted to download the results or you wanted to view them, there isn't a second level of encryption or login required for that. Once you've logged in with your USC account into Qualtrics, then it seems to me that you don't have any other restrictions after that.
I mean,
That's just been my
I'd in general
experience.
just assume it's saved on a Qualtrics server, but they're going to keep it safe because if data gets out, that kind of hurts their business. But if it's really sensitive data, then maybe you should consider not using Qualtrics then. Maybe use something like Paper or some survey system you developed.
So now that we've created our survey and we've transferred it to our director's account, we've gotten some responses and we'd like to know what the students think. Ben is going to show us how to analyze the data. Qualtrics is great. It's really user-friendly. It's very intuitive, and they make viewing the results very easy.
Yeah, unlike other programs like SurveyMonkey, you can actually do a lot of editing of charts, graphs right online at Qualtrics. So you again just go to the survey you want to look at, click on Results, and then click Initial Report. Automatically, these are fake data, so don't worry, I'm not showing you what our students think. Automatically will populate with all the answers. It automatically creates bar graphs. You have the option to create other types of image or graphs or tables. To do that, you go to the left, choose whatever question you want, and then go over to this icon here that says Add Graph. If you scroll over it, you have different choices. So bar, 3D, flat, pie chart, something a little fancier, a little line chart. It's great if you want to be able to create some graphs for some kind of report you're using. The other wonderful thing about Qualtrics is if you want to filter the results, say we only want to know what Viterbi kids thought. We just go over here, click on Viterbi, and automatically it'll filter our entire survey to just show what Viterbi students said for a question. So if we want to know how often international students from Viterbi visit our website, just click on number 3. And it looks like none of them visit our website. Well, I'll start fictional ones. I'm sure the actual ones do. If you want to get rid of the filter, just go up top. It's nice, red, and easy to see. Click the X and it goes away. Once you have finished creating all the graphs or charts that you want, you can export them to Word, PowerPoint, Excel, PDF. Click on that, downloads it nicely. If you're a little bit more comfortable using something like Excel to create your own charts, analyze data, you can download it. Click on the floppy disk icon. Key thing to remember when doing this is always check answers as labels. If you don't do this, the data you download will be listed as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, opposed to strongly agree, strongly disagree. And then you just select the format that you'd like to download it. The final thing that's wonderful about it is it lets you look at individual responses. So say you actually were tracking individual students' responses and wanted to know what they thought about each and every single one of the questions. It lists everyone's response. If you had email, it have the respondent's email right here for you to view. You just click on the respondent, and you'd see all the responses to the questions that they were asked. So you can see it was an undergraduate, they were male, et cetera, et cetera. Any questions on using and analyzing results?
That was our presentation. I hope it was helpful. I hope it gives everyone the confidence to get started on assessing their own departments. We have about 6 minutes for questions. I'd be happy to answer any questions about Qualtrics or any questions you may have about the Office of International Services. Yes?
What is it the email address of the database that you want to send it to, of the students you want to send it to?
I'm sorry, can you repeat
How
that?
does it get the database of email addresses?
You
or which
import
group?
it.
You import it?
So whatever students you or people you want to send the invitation to, it doesn't collect that information for you.
So to access it, you don't have to have like formal training or have to be certified. You just go ahead, download it, and start working.
Anybody
Not
can
even
use
download,
it.
just go online, sign up for it. As long as you're a student affairs or have it for you in Marshall or what have you.
What's the address again?
Let me pull it up. Like I said, you can just search USC Qualtrics, but also it is right here as well.
Excuse me, what's the report writer like on it? Does it, I mean, I see that it gives you online charts and graphs, but, and when you said you can download that into Excel,
Yeah,
but then, yeah, so.
I prefer Excel just because it's what I was used to using. It gives it to you just in one long file with respondents. It says when they started the survey, when they ended the survey, and then each of the columns are the individual questions. And then the respondents' responses.
Which is nice because then you can remove,
You can
run dynamic analysis and remove questions and responses that aren't relevant to whatever analysis you're trying to perform.
So that would be a step, if you were going to clean the data at all, that would be where you go.
Yes. Yes?
You mentioned a disclaimer option, but are there any kind of consent options or anything like along those lines with the
Yes. One thing I forgot to mention, in the preparation of our survey, we met with the assessment committee and asked their opinion of the questions that we were asking, any steps that we might overlook, and they helped me to word our disclaimer. I think that was right. There's certain language that is commonly used to, by agreeing to take the survey, the student is consenting to, allowing their information to be used or allowing to be contacted. This is what the invitation to our survey says before they enter, and the very end.
Yeah.
And before they provide their email for the drawing, we have another little statement to explain. Just say that all survey responses will be anonymous.
Thank you.
Yes?
The survey committee, that's just a group of people that you put together to do this?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
The assessment, whatever
The
survey.
assessment committee is what
Yeah, the
it's asking
assessment
about.
committee that you just mentioned,
Oh.
put together that.
Is that Pat Toby who spoke at the beginning?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're having drop-in hours for the next month. This is something that they would be appropriate to ask their help for in phrasing that language.
ask a little bit about item creation. How did you come up with your wording and your options, and were you borrowing from another instrument, or I mean, what was that process like for you? Because I imagine you just didn't open it up and start typing.
No, we did some research of other universities and how they were surveying their students. We did some research of how other departments and divisions on campus are surveying their students, and decided that people don't take very much care in creating surveys. So we learned from other people's mistakes of what we didn't want to ask and what would be appropriate to ask.
We also looked at the survey we did in 2002, looked at the results from that, what students did respond to, what they skipped over, why they were copying out of it. Part of it was we decided leaving the option of no opinion in a Likert scale was used as a way to not answer a question. So we just made them secrets.
And we went through multiple revisions, having our director, having the assessment committee, having international students look at the questions to ensure that they're gathering the information that we intend to get.
And we also let the staff members actually look at the survey, since it's going to impact them. If you actually want to use results from that and say, you should change your behavior because of this, you want to make sure all those questions pass this before they even get it, so they can't invalidate it. Yeah.
From the point that you decided, oh, we're going to do this assessment and use Qualtrics, what was the time frame to like actually putting it out and distributing it to your population?
It took us almost 2 semesters. Only because we're a very busy office. It didn't need to take that long, but it took us a little while. We also wanted to have everybody have a chance to look at it before we made it public, and that also took a bit of time. Yes?
At the end, how many questions did your survey end up being? And how long will Qualtrics store the responses?
Our survey is 10 questions, but depending on how many counselors a student met with, it could be up to 20
about 20 or so, yeah. But realistically, people are going to click on 1, maybe 2 counselors they met with.
And that's a very good question. I don't know that there's an expiration date for data on Qualtrics.
Can you just download like a flat file of the responses?
Yep.
And you can keep it on your own machine as long as you want.
Yep.
That's a good point, yes.
The other thing with that is if you want to do a longitudinal survey, it's not going to be updated with responses as they come in. So that's the only reason you might not want to do that. But I prefer to do it because it's easier to manipulate. Anything else?
I have one. The first question is that something that only staff is able to utilize? It cannot be accessed by students?
Well, students who are working in student affairs can. Like I have my own accounts. Like I just set it up yesterday, no trouble whatsoever. I'm not sure about like graduate students or undergraduate students. You might be able to through your own individual departments. I don't believe you can through the student affairs one. I don't know about Marshall or what have you.
Do you happen to know, Jen?
You can just set up an account.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody can? Any student also?
No, and through Qualtrics, not necessarily through the USC supported Qualtrics, but it's free and you can go in just to Qualtrics.
I opened mine like within a week ago, and actually Student Affairs, it lists all of the academic units. So it says to any faculty or student. It didn't say staff, and then I had to go in and jump a couple hoops and then put in Student Affairs, and it went through, but it did say faculty and students were the primary users.
Okay, and I have another question as well. So were there some students that did not complete the survey, and if so, would that be discounted from the results?
We haven't gotten to the point of actually analyzing the results. It's going to be something our director does, so I'm not sure what his plan for that is.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure how we'll approach that yet. We'll have to clean up the data once we...
So then those questions can be included as well, even if they didn't answer all of the answers, if there were some they left blank. Some of those, would those results be then kept separate for screening? Would those all come together in the results? How would that look?
So if you skip questions but finish the survey and keep them all together, if you started the survey and came back to it at a later date after, say, it's expired of letting it save, you'd have to start all over from scratch. Previous surveys I've done before, sometimes you can kind of figure out which ones go with which. If someone stopped at question 21 and someone else started at 22, it's kind of a safe bet that that's the same person. But there's no way of definitively saying like, oh, these are the same.
Okay. We haven't begun working with the data yet. We've only distributed the survey about 3 weeks ago, so that's our next hurdle.
So you don't have to go through IRB or anything?
No, because by participating in the survey, the student is giving consent.
And we're not publishing this, it's just internal stuff.
And on that question, and she was asking to avoid the whole empty question or blank question, you can do the forced ranking, right? Or
Yes.
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 That's good.
We chose not to do forced ranking just because it's, I'm sorry, forced response because it's sort of a hassle. I didn't want to discourage students from participating if they didn't feel inclined to answer any particular question.
Was there any pushback from individual staff members in terms of being rated personally? I imagine
There was some grumbling, but
It was mostly about not wanting their photo on it, because the
Yes.
photos are not very flattering, if you didn't notice.
No, but what if like
Yours was fine. So that was
We all know what you meant.
Thank you. You're my new friend.
yeah, there was some grumbling, but this didn't come as a surprise. Our director has been telling staff for the last 2 years that it's his goal to complete such a satisfaction survey.
and that'll be integrated into their performance review.
It will be, well, Tony will decide how he wants, our director will decide how he wants to use the data, but in theory, he will share it with supervisors to help staff, to let staff know where they're doing well and areas for improvement.
Well, that almost makes an argument to not make it an open survey. So you can't do positive on yourself.
I mean,
and
that
negative
is a
about
limitation,
negative.
that is a limitation of our survey. It was a risk we're willing to take to receive the most candid responses from students. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.